Commissioner Fett?
It's live.
Okay.
We're ready when you're ready.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this special meeting to order Monday, September 15th. If I could have you stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to go ahead and open it up for general public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to address the board? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, come back for our regular agenda item. Turn it over to Mr. Manning. Good morning.
Excellent. Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the Board of County Commissioners. For the record, Michael Manning, Innovation and Performance Navigator. I'm joined by our consultant.
Renee Norlock with Norlock & Associates.
Good morning.
To date, a professional recruitment brochure which outlines the county's organizational structure, leadership, community profile, and the qualifications and expectations of the next county attorney has been advertised. The initial recruitment period ended on August 25th, and we have received I believe it's 15 candidates. And with that, I will turn it over to our consultant, who will give you a brief overview.
Thank you. Chair and board members, it's a pleasure to be here today. It's a pleasure to work with all of you. This is an important hire for you, I understand that. And as Michael said, we had 15 candidates for the position. We vetted a handful of folks and have recommendations of 3 candidates to move forward to interview process, which is currently scheduled in a couple of weeks or so. And what we're looking to do today is really get direction from you on which candidates you would like to interview, either the ones we recommended or ones that you would like to see move forward to the interview process. That said, just real quick, I want to speak just briefly on each of the 3 candidates that I did recommend. But what I do want you to know is in doing these recommendations and vetting candidates, there were some basic things, of course, that we looked for in the way of candidates and their qualifications for this job. We were certainly looking for someone who knows local government. A couple of our candidates are board certified or will be or can be easily board certified in city, county, local government. Other things we looked at was just really kind of their style of leadership and in the relationship with board members, that they would keep the board equally informed on different issues, that they would try to get to yes instead of always being no, or have a tendency to go to no first. Really just be proactive in assisting the board and moving the direction that whatever the will of the board is. That said, I also look to make sure they can manage the county attorney's office. You've got a decent size office, and I'm sure there's going to be some expected growth in that office, so that's important to us too, that they fit with the culture of the organization and fit with that office and be able to advance the attorney's office overall. And in addition to that, we understand that the county attorney has to remain apolitical, and that while they need to be very politically astute, they need to remain apolitical in that role, and certainly we made sure that we have candidates in that regard. Also, we confirmed that they're eligible to practice law in the state of Florida with the bar. We also did, and made sure there were no disciplinary action with the bar for the candidates. We also did Nexus article searches. We did that before we ever interviewed them. And that process, we're kind of just looking for anything in their background that we need to know about. And we do that constantly. We do that going forward. We'll keep doing that even up to the day of the interview and beyond that, because things change over time. So we have been doing Nexus articles, and we'll continue to do that, where we're just looking for anything in their background that might disqualify them or just might be a concern. Examples might be if they've been fired before, if they've been forced to resign, if they have any kind of poor performance issues or something like that, which again, we haven't found anything relative to those things. Excuse me. So that's it. The 3 candidates that we're putting forward. Last name of the first candidate is Hassan, H-A-S-A-N. And then the next, and I'm doing them alphabetically, not ranked in any order here. Hockman, H-O-C-K-M-A-N. And the last one is Levine, L-E-V-I-N-E. And just real quick, Ms. Hassan, she's currently with the City of Fort Lauderdale. She's what's called a senior assistant attorney, which is really the highest level of attorney you can get without being either the deputy or the actual city attorney there. She's been there for some time, had prior experience with Miami Beach, graduated from University of Miami. Her law degree was from U of M. Mr. Hockman is with Weiss Serota. If you're not familiar with them, it's an organization that services all kinds of public sector agencies, cities, counties, and otherwise. He's been there 15 years. He has the CLEs necessary to be board certified in city, county, local government. He has his JD from, I'm sorry, hold on just a second, from Hamlin, from Mitchell Hamlin School of Law. And then we have Judith Levine. She's a senior, again, sort of a deputy position. The next step up is the senior, is the legal counsel there. Her position is with the South Florida Water Management District. She is board certified in city, county, local government. Previously, she worked for the Miami-Dade Police Department. Prior to that, she was with the Broward Sheriff's Office. That said, what we're looking to do today is to get some direction from you. While those are my recommendations, the truth of the matter is you're deciding who you want to interview. And you may take my recommendations, you may throw them out, you may suggest other candidates in addition to my recommendations. We don't have a magic number to get to. We just want to know who you want to talk with in 2 weeks to interview for this process, learn more about these candidates, sit with them face to face and have one-on-one conversations so that you can really get to know them better and know who they are and what they bring to the table for you. So with that said, Chairman, I believe there's a form in probably the left pocket side of your booklets that lists, again, the names of the 3 candidates that I put forward. But in addition to that, behind there, there's another form. If you want to go about putting your top picks or your picks of candidates on there and then passing them to me, and then I can tally those and figure out where we are on a consensus about who we want to move forward. And again, this form, you don't have to put any down. You can put more than 3 down. You can put just whoever you would like to interview on that list, not in any ranking order. You're not ranking them. You're just putting on them so we can do a tally of who we're going to move forward. So with that said, Chairman, anyone have any questions?
Any questions from the board?
I have a comment.
Commissioner Townsend?
First, thank you for what you've done in the due diligence, you and Michael. I just want to make a comment. These 3 that she chose is actually the 3 that I chose. And looking at everybody, I did have a 4th one. Out of respect for him being a local attorney would be John Anastasia. I think we at least owe him an interview. But my top 3 were these 3. So I don't know where the rest of you stand, but if y'all are so inclined to agree with that, then I don't know that we really need to go through voting and go through paperwork. But if y'all don't, then go accordingly.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lee?
Oh, Renee, one question. We're in a political atmosphere, as you know. How did you go about that? Determining or determining their apolitical assessments?
So these candidates, for the most part, have served in a capacity of servicing local governments for a long time. And it's the nature of that position, and quite frankly, should be the nature of probably the county administrator also, that they don't get involved in the politics. They understand that their job is to serve you. And whatever directive you give them, their job is to carry that out, right, or they're not doing their job. So politically and what the political climate is, it's more about them understanding your politics and what your directives are from a political perspective and being able to carry that out. So that's the assessment that we used in talking with these candidates. Some of them I know from previous, I know kind of their character and their reputations, if you will. Others have just worked around government for so long that they do understand that. And they understand, honestly, and I'll tell people this too, if you're either in county attorney position or county manager or administrator position and you become political, your time is short because that's not your job. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Sure.
Madam Chair, just one more comment. I am in concurrence. I agree the 3 that Renee has chosen are good, and I do not have a problem with Commissioner Townsend's adding John out of respect of being a local individual.
Okay. But I think let's go ahead and let's follow the instructions that have been provided. So if someone wants to add anyone above the 3, that's what the extra lines are for. Mine is filled out, ready to go. And then after we open, I think let's go ahead and continue that discussion.
Madam Chair, before we do that,
Commissioner
I'd like to comment. I respect the consultant's company, I guess, but I will tell you that I don't respect their opinion that these candidates are not apolitical. One of these candidates specifically has political on their resume that they submitted. I don't know how far I want to go down this wormhole for legal reasons, but I'm not comfortable with moving forward with any of the people that are being recommended here. If I need to go into more detail, I will.
Okay. So, Ms. Barbieri, in light of what Commissioner Clasby said, how would you recommend he fill the form out? Just put,
That he doesn't want to interview any of the projected candidates.
okay, perfect.
And if we do go to interview them, I will be asking very difficult questions to them.
I would assume we would all be asking very difficult questions because we're filling a position that hasn't been filled in 40 years. And I think while some of us have some of the same expectations, I think there's 5 of us, so there's probably going to be a broad range of things they're going to go through the ringer on. So,
And I want to direct these questions to the consultant comments. This is a position that was here for 40 years. This is not a gap position. We're looking for somebody to stay here a long time, okay? This board has certain political beliefs that we're not up here. I do not feel that you've brought forward candidates that will fairly represent this board. I do not feel that these people on this list would represent me fairly.
all right. Do you, Commissioner Lee, do you have your?
Madam Chair,
And Commissioner Lowry?
Madam Chair, when they're all done, Sydney will grab them and take them over to the consultant.
Have we,
Thank you.
Madam Chair, have we, in this process, do we go through like social media accounts of the, I mean, I know I instantly did some Facebook things. I was kind of surprised to see some views open
Yes,
and family members.
we have to be careful about looking into social media.
Yeah.
Because it's been off limits, if you will.
Okay.
As far as making recommendations or even hiring. That said, I would suggest anything that you do see, it would be appropriate for you to address those in your one-on-one times with candidates. And as the commissioner said, ask very difficult questions.
You're wasting time moving forward, I'm telling you.
Sydney, I've got 2 out of the 3. All right, and while they're taking the time to look at that, one, Ms. Norlock, I want to thank you, and also Michael for all of your hard work, time, and effort that's gone into this. You know, you can never control who applies, who's looking. Over the weekend, I had 2 additional that I was contemplating that came off of my list just from doing those additional searches and digging into some things. That being said, there are 3 that I would still like to interview. Not saying they're on here. It very well might be that we end up going back out. But there are really 2 that I definitely want to look at or interview that I would like to. And then one that's, so,
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lowry.
One thing I know that personally I want to look at is somebody that's here for longevity too. You know, I feel like hopefully a lot of us will have at least 1 or 2 more terms here, and one of the candidates, you know, seems like they're at their end of their career, even though they may be fantastic. It concerns me to have to do this again in 6 years or, so I know that's definitely going to be one of my deciding factors.
Well, and that's a good comment too. So I think the 40 years is an anomaly. Is there, Renee, could you, oh, sorry, I'll wait till you're done. You keep doing that.
Thank you.
Is there, maybe Catherine or even George, anyone, typically what is the average tenure of a, county attorney? And I know it's certainly not 40 years. That is the anomaly.
Correct. What we see from our side, and it might be the same or different from what Catherine sees, but when we talk to our colleagues in the business about attorneys at city and county level, it's usually 6 to 10 years on average, and then they move on or whatever the case. There are some that stay a lot longer, and there are some that don't last very long at all. So, but the 6 to 10 is about the average.
Would you
I apologize, I don't really have that sounds reasonable to me, but
Gotcha.
having served under one person for so long, I guess I really haven't looked at those numbers.
Got it.
You're sure you're not up for the job?
County administrators, on the other hand, are like 20 to 30 to 40 years. County administrators, preferably Treasure Coast, local. I'm just kidding.
Madam Chair, one other comment. I feel like, too, we owe, I want to make sure that, this is a new process, I think, for all of us at this point, but I think one thing we need to consider is, when we're interviewing, is how we feel like they're going to mesh with our legal team. That's, really important, because they're going to be the ones that work with this individual on a, day-to-day basis. So really, our decision is very important, what we feel, but I feel like, we need to make sure that it's going to be a good fit for them.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Clasby?
I also want to draw to question some of these 15 candidates that were on there. There were candidates that only received their law degree in the 2020 and after, or 2018. I just, not only that, there were candidates that overtly listed political activity on their resume. I just don't understand. I don't trust that they went through an apolitical process at all. I mean, you must be pretty proud of your political affiliation if you're putting it on your resume and presenting it to this board to consider. I'm just saying I don't like any of the choices that they've provided, specifically these three.
Understood.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Townsend.
I just want to say, just so y'all know, because I'm transparent, I have asked Catherine and Jean to join me on my interviews. They have to work with whoever we're going to hire. I feel that it's only fair, them having the law background, that they be a part of the interview process with me, and so they will be engaging in my interviews with me.
Awesome.
So Commissioner Townsend, I had actually already asked Ms. Barbieri to do that. However, after further contemplation, I'm happy, you're more than welcome to have her sit in with you, because I don't think that sets the right tone. Whoever we're interviewing, and again, might not be any of these three, but ultimately down the road, you would be having someone that's working under them sit for their interview process. So that's why I decided that would not be a wise thing to do. So,
Well, I'm going to
we're
interview them on
absolutely-
my own, and then after I'm finished, I'm going to bring them in, just because I want to make sure that,
I'm sorry.
her having a law background, her having worked with other attorneys, not many, but some of the assistant attorneys that have come and gone. And when I asked her to go through the resumes, we actually were very close on our decisions, so that told me that we were a little bit aligned. I also had the concern, Aaron, with the one that's in the drop. That was a concern for me too, but I also know that generally 6 to 8 years is where county attorneys and administration, the administrators and attorneys, that's usually what they last, if that sometimes.
Yeah, it just seemed like,
So I kind
Close
of
to 40
said,
years.
okay, I'm not, she's not my first choice, but I too was not overly ecstatic over only having 15. And looking at these, some of these had no government background, some of them being new, some of them coming from private practice, because this is one of the most important decisions as a commissioner you'll ever make in your
yeah.
career, besides county administrator. So I was hoping for a little bit more than what we got, but in trying to, I don't want to rush it. I'm okay if we don't choose any of these, but there is one that does stick out strongly with me because of the airport background, and that is the direction and my focus on where I want to go. So that is why I was very strong on that decision on that one gentleman. But so there will be some input from our legal staff. after I've had my interviews.
It really doesn't take much digging to find out that these people are very political online.
Chair, we have a tally of the scores here.
Okay.
There are 4 who would like to see Hockman, Hockman.
Okay.
3 who would like to see Hassan, Hasan. 3 who would like to see Levine, Levine. 2 for Anastasio. And then 1 for Deborah Feit, Feit. I think she's probably number 6 on your list, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so we have 3 for interview then,
Could you repeat those?
as far as majority. I'm sorry?
Could we repeat those?
Absolutely. So Hassan was 3 commissioners for interview. Hockman was 4. He's right underneath her. Levine was 3. She's right underneath him. 2 for Anastasio. He's number 1 up there. And then Deborah Fayette, 1. She's number 6. Right, Mr. Landry, that is correct. That would be how it works, right? There's majority for Hassan, Hockman, and Levine.
It would be better, yeah.
So it would be best if there was a motion to ratify that, the list, the short list of the at least where the majority was.
All right, is there a motion for those 3 candidates?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion that we interview Hockman, Hussein, and Levine, but I also want to say on the record that if we are not comfortable with any of these 3, it's not to say that we have to choose one of them. We can always ask the consultant to go back out. We can ask for all new applications to come back in and start the process all over again. This is just a beginning.
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, before we get a second, I would advise that we do not interview these people because it's going to be very embarrassing.
Okay, noted. Any other comments from the commission? If not, Commissioner Townsend has a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I will second it.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
All right, motion carries. All right, and then with that, we move on to the interview schedule, which was already,
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Michael Manning, Innovation and Performance Navigator. The item before you is the recommended sample schedule. The sample was created with the assumption of 5 candidates, so it will change slightly to the selected number of 3. The schedule features the morning where you'll have one-on-one opportunities to interview each candidate. Each candidate will interview with each commissioner individually. And then we'll bring them in for a lunch where they can meet some of the legal staff, some of the senior staff, and then a public meeting in the afternoon where the 5 of you will sit as a board in a public meeting. The candidate will give a brief presentation of themselves, and then you can ask follow-up questions in a public setting. With that, happy to answer any questions.
any questions, comments for that?
No, ma'am.
If not, is there a motion?
Motion proceed as discussed.
Is there, okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Again, Renee, thank you very much. Michael,
Sure.
thank you very much for everything. Appreciate it. Continue to have conversations. And actually, Renee, I had a couple questions when we get off the dais, if that's okay. Anything from anyone else before we can do a motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
Have a great day.